Call the Danville City Commission meeting, our regular meeting, to order. This is the first meeting for your commission for the year 2024, and it is a regular meeting. Today's date is Monday, June the 8th, 2024, and the time is 5:30 p.m. by the city's unofficial clock. I want to welcome you all to City Hall to our first meeting, and hope you'll get to see your city government in action tonight. There will be a couple of opportunities on our agenda for you to speak to us tonight, but we have two opportunities. One to speak to us about items on the agenda, and then the second opportunity, you'd be allowed to speak to your city commissioner about anything that you want to speak to us about that's legal, that's not on our agenda. And so with that, we'd like to get started. We're going to have a word of prayer led by Commissioner Jenny Holland, and going to be followed by a pledge of allegiance to the flag by a Bergen High School senior, Mr. Jordan Glass, who is desiring to become an intern in the mayor's office, really an intern in City Hall. But Jordan, welcome to our meeting, and we'll let you come up to the pledge in a minute. Ms. Holland?
Let us pray. We humbly come before you, Lord, and ask that you guide, guard, and direct our hearts and our motives with the decisions we make today. Please intervene in the hearts and minds of our leaders, both here and abroad, to bring about peace. In your name, amen.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Glass? He didn't know he was going to be asked to do that, but he was invited a little about 2 weeks ago to come to our first meeting of the year as he desires to learn more about how local government operates. And he lives in Stanford, Kentucky, goes to school in Bergen, Kentucky, and is going to internship in Danville, Kentucky. So you all figure that one out. Okay, commissioners, you've heard the agenda for a few days now. The mayor would like to entertain a approval of the agenda as presented, unless someone has an addition or deletion. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, sir. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. So our agenda's been set. At this point on our agenda is where we hear the public. You may speak to the commission. Raise your hand to be recognized. Come up to the podium. Speak to us for 3 minutes or less, and we'll be very attentive, and we will listen to you as best we can tonight. Notice the key word is that we will listen to you tonight. So thank you for your attendance, okay? Is there anyone who desires to speak to the commission about items that are on the agenda? Mr. Mullins, you want to be first? Sure. Yes, sir. All right. He raised his hand. I already knew his name. All right.
Yeah, we go way back.
Middle school, right?
Not that far. Okay. Good evening. My name is David Mullins. I'm speaking in opposition to item 6 on your agenda, which is the proposed zone change for the property adjacent to Colonial Heights and Candlewood. I think you've got identified something different. I'll try to be brief. I have presented these points at multiple meetings, planning and zoning, and last year's city commission meeting. I really only have a few points to make as far as opposition. First point, if you review the comprehensive plan and you look in the goals and objectives, especially the land use section, I'll read briefly what that says. It says, respect the character of existing neighborhoods by encouraging the new development and redevelopment that will conform to the existing context as determined by the scale and massing of existing buildings, the placement of buildings on lots, architectural elements, types, and placements of streets, and the pattern and type of open space. In my opinion and my neighbor's opinion, the change from R1A to R1C would not meet that plan because it's It's going to allow you to stuff a lot more properties into the same space where we currently have now. So having that right adjacent to our property doesn't seem like that that goal would be met. The second goal also states to encourage compact, high-quality development which protects community character, provides balanced land uses, and which is tailored to the variety of urban, suburban, and rural sections of Boyle County. Again, our neighborhood is very diverse. It's very beautiful. No two houses are the same. Granted, it makes it hard for someone that's building adjacent to us because the developer for Colonial Heights, they sectioned off lots that are bigger than they were required to. They put houses on it that are bigger than they're required to. So we understand that makes it difficult to build right next to it. But still, if we could, we don't think that objective, if you look at winning colors as what we would expect for that type of property, it doesn't look anything like Colonial Heights and can't look anything like Colonial Heights because the properties are much smaller, houses are much smaller, no lots. So we don't think that you would also be meeting the goal number 2. The third point is we did a pretty decent study last year at the P&Z and the City Commissioners meeting, and we can't find any evidence that indicates that this type of increased number of lots is really needed for Danville or Boyle County. In fact, we did a study that showed just for what was bought and sold in Boyle County for the previous time period. We looked at 2 metrics, the first being the cost of the house and the second being the square footage of the house. And what we found is if you look at all of Danville and Boyle County, all of these properties.
Mayor,
and you
that's
use-
3 minutes.
Yes, okay, so anyway, what we found was there was just as much of a need for houses above and below $250,000 and also above and below 2,000 square feet. So we'd like to see that trend continue, and that we don't think that there's really a need for stuffing more properties in the same space.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Compton, you want to finish his sentence for him?
Yeah, we've got a little bit more on that. My name's Eddie Compton. Live in Colonial Heights. To kind of piggyback on what David was saying, when you look at the density increase just on the staff report, it shows a 68% increase in density. The comprehensive plan, I believe the goal is should be no more than a 50% increase. And that's when you compare the 2 adjacent properties, not just Colonial Heights. When you look at the Colonial Heights, the units per, it's new units of measurement for me, but the units per acre is, for Colonial Heights, according to the staff report, is 1.85. The proposed property will be 3.82. So you're looking at almost 100% increase when you look at it by that measure. Also, I want to point out that, we understand there's a lot of concessions have been made in this property, and I've went through the documentation that's been submitted. I've watched all the videos and combed through it to see what is actionable in these commitments. I actually met with Michaela Jerry. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing Gary. Okay. But today to discuss some of that, and while Michaela says, the plat does go, the conceptual, I want to say conceptual plat does go along with the filing. To me, when I hear concept, I hear that there's lots of room for change. And now I've been told that any changes, any great significant changes would require more meetings and more approvals, but I really can't find where that is definitive. And that's based, under the current comprehensive plan. And I understand the current comprehensive plan doesn't fit what we need at this time. I mean, I've read it, I've looked at it. We need an increase. This is not the way to do it. You're trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. I mean, I understand what you're trying to do, but it's at the sacrifice of 2 communities. And I ask you to consider that. you know, we're not against development. We bought the property knowing that it could potentially be developed. One of the first questions I had from my realtor was, what's going on back there? Is just agriculture? What is it? He said, no, it's zoned the same way you guys are. It'll be like housing. And so that was enough for me. I moved here. I went to Center, graduated from Center in 2001, moved to all over the country, ended up back here. Never thought I would be back here.
Mayor,
But
that's 3 minutes.
just to say, we are very happy to live in this community, and we hate to see what the potential for what's proposed, how it could impact us, and just consider that when considering this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Yes, sir. Hello.
Hello, my name is Jacob Webb, also proud citizen currently of Colonial Heights subdivision. I live at 129 Betsy Ross Lane for now. That being said, my house is currently for sale, so, and I think you should know why. It's for sale now, and the home right next to me, I believe it was 129 Betsy Ross, sold just a month ago. You should know why as well. And the reason why is because of uncertainty. My question to the commissioners tonight is, when you made the change to push forward with this potential zone change, if you actually watched the meeting that was with planning and zoning and why they voted it down. And I think a big reason why was uncertainty. The developer did not commit to what it would look like. He didn't say what it would look like. He said it would depend on whatever public need we would have at that time. He couldn't commit that there would be a garage with each property. He said a garage or a carport. So, you know, this was brought up previously, over a year ago. It was brought before this commission. It was brought before planning and zoning. And there really just has not been a change. You know, all we got this next time around was a map that showed some square boxes, and we're now thinking that it's better, that he's made some concessions and made things better for the citizens of Colonial Heights and Candlewood. That's just not the case. We still feel very uncertain about what is going to happen behind us. I think Mr. Compton just said perfectly, it's not about development. Development's fine, you know. Someone has developed, and that's why we get to live here, you know. So we're definitely not against that. But not knowing what's going to be behind you and how it's going to look, you know, why not just keep it R1A? We're R1A, it should stay R1A. The second thing to consider, once again, is traffic. I think, once again, we're doing a disservice to not just the people there now, but whoever could come going forward. You know, we're connecting two subdivisions and adding a bunch of houses to one street. You know, now they can go out Colonial Heights or they could go out the Candlewood way. There's no additional entrance or exit to this proposed development. I think during the last meeting, I think there was some encouragement because we were adding a stub street. I think we all understand a stub street just leads to nowhere. There's no connection. It's a future connection possibly, but it doesn't give us any connection specifically to Shakertown Road, west or east of the development. So thank you all very much. If anyone would like to buy a home, 129 Betsy Ross Lane is for sale. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ross. And Mr. Webb, I'm sorry. Is there anyone else? He lives on Betsy Ross, I'm sorry. Anyone else? All right, thank you all. Next on our agenda is the Arts Center of the Year presentation, a proclamation, and a proclamation for the Norton Center. So Mrs. Becker's going to do all three of those at the same time. We're going to struggle through it with help of the commission. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, and as always, I appreciate this opportunity to make these presentations because in our city and our county, we're very proud of our arts heritage and of the wealth of artistic talent and people who share their talents and abilities. So this year, we have selected as our Arts Citizen of the Year, and it's the 20th year, we have made a selection. And our person this year is Steve Hoffman. Steve, if Steve could come on up. Okay.
I have passed out some of our newsletters, and there was an article in the newspaper. The reason for choosing Steve as the Art Citizen of the Year, lots of it has to do with his position as the executive director of the Norton Center for the Arts at Center College. But I would say that one of the main reasons we have chosen him is because of his commitment to bringing the arts into our community, bringing the Norton Center programming into our community. For example, he collaborated with the African American Historical Society for a year-long exhibit. He has produced a collaborative project with the community in Japan. So they worked there in Yamaguchi Prefecture. People came here. He also has just his own personality been so involved. He has become a member of several boards, the Art Center of the Bluegrass, the Gladys Project, and he served on some committees such as the Chamber of Commerce Leadership Boyle Arts and Culture Day, which is what we call the run around the town and see what we have to show you day. So for that reason, we selected Steve, the Art Citizen of the Year. He also practices what he preaches. He has served as a mentor to a number of students and people who work for him, and he is an exhibited photographer. 2 of his pieces have been selected for the Derby exhibit at the Governor's Mansion, in the Capitol, excuse me. And so he is also generously shares his work for fundraisers. So for that reason, we have chosen Stephen. And in honor of Steve, we usually give a token, and I have a small token for him, but we made a donation to the Norton Center's ticket program for students in his honor. And we feel that that not only reflects the importance of the arts in the community, but his generosity in the community. So, Steve, congratulations.
Thank you.
You should stay up here. We're going to do Norton Center. So, last year, as you remember, or maybe you don't, it's been a year, we recognized Farmers Market for their their encouragement of the arts in that venue as well as Constitution Square Festival. So we thought that we couldn't let this year go by without recognizing the Norton Center itself for its 50 years of service to this community. They started as a regional, I believe they called it regional, but I don't think we're anywhere remotely close to regional anymore. We are definitely what you would say on the map. There have been major international focus on the Norton Center, 2 presidential debates, vice presidential debates, excuse me, people who come here who are recognized the world over, as well as new and really emerging talent and a lot of diversity and multicultural activities. So we felt it was important to recognize the Norton Center this year as well for their 50 years of service to our community. Thank you very much. It's a small token. And I know you all have proclamations
Yes,
to
ma'am.
read, but I thought that I would let Steve share a few words if he would.
Why don't we let
You wanna
Steve
do-
share after we do the
Do the
proclamations? 'cause,
proclamations, okay.
He might not have much to say after we read the proclamations, right?
You may have more to say. It is my pleasure, Steve, to read this proclamation in your honor. I need to get closer with my phone. I became a fan of yours 8 years ago tonight. Greg Allman was here. You brought Greg Allman here, and that's, to my family, there was 31 people from my family at that concert. That's how important it was. And also your work with the Gladys Project. And we're just glad to have you in as part of our community. Proclamation, 2023 Arts Citizen of the Year. Whereas Steve Hoffman has demonstrated exemplary leadership as Executive Director of the Norton Center of the Arts at Center College, whereas Steve has presented an extensive program of diversified, cross-genre, and multidisciplinary arts experiences including internationally recognized performers, as well as new and innovative artists. Whereas Steve has collaborated with organizations in the community to incorporate diverse local culture into the Norton Center programming, and whereas Steve has further developed the Norton Center's opportunities for young students to experience a variety of live theater. Whereas Steve Hoffman has also worked within the community to promote local arts by volunteering and serving on several boards and committees. Whereas Steve has encouraged and mentored others to explore arts opportunities throughout his career. And now therefore be it resolved that the City of Danville Board of Commissioners recognizes the contribution of the arts to the community and would like it to be known that Steve Hoffman has been selected and recognized as the 2023 Art Citizen of the Year as designated by the Arts Commission of Danville, Boyle County.
Now, while he presents that, we'll have Commissioner Series to read the second proclamation.
Okay. You want to allow him to say something first?
Let your proclamation.
Go with that first? Okay.
Let him say something, we'll go down to the petition. You know how to control him. He's an arts kind of people, right?
All right. Proclamation, Norton Center for the Arts 2023 Community Service Recognition. Whereas the Norton Center for the Arts has brought world-class entertainment and diverse performances to Central Kentucky for 50 years, and whereas the Norton Center has presented programs which provide diverse, multicultural, and multidisciplinary arts experiences, and whereas the Norton Center for the Arts offers opportunities for children across the state to have access to high-quality arts experiences regardless of financial circumstances through the Arts for Classroom Ticket Subsidy. And whereas the Norton Center has brought national and international recognition to the local community through major events, including hosting 2 vice presidential debates and a cultural exchange with the Yamaguchi Prefecture University in Yamaguchi, Japan. I hope I did that right. And now therefore be it resolved that the City of Danville Board of Commissioners, in recognizing the significance the arts contribute to the vitality and well-being of our community, would like it to be known that the Norton Center for the Arts, through its 50 years of service, has been recognized as a valuable community partner and asset by the Arts Commission of Danville, Boyle County.
And you tell them what happens. Mayor doesn't have on any pants.
Mr. Hoffman, when you finish your comments, we're going to come down and take several pictures.
Great.
It's been requested that you take a picture with the whole entire commission.
That would be great.
All right.
So first of all, I am humbled and honored to receive the distinction and be among so many in our culturally rich community who have also received this honor, and those who are equally deserving. Since an early age, I've always used music as a way to connect when meeting new people. And I'm an Army brat, so I've had to meet many, many, many new people throughout my life. People ask me what I value in my work, and it seems to come down to doing 3 things. Turning people on to new music and arts, programs and ideas, bringing people together to form a community interested in learning how to better navigate, understand, and respect life, and demonstrating through cultural programs how people are more alike than they are different. One of the greatest rewards in my job is to stand in the lobby after a performance, almost blocking the exits. I love to hear and see how people directly experience an event. And it's certainly most exciting when patrons share why an artist or program has now become their new favorite. Sometimes patrons come up to me wanting to shake my hand and simply thank me for bringing a program they hadn't heard of before. And other times they avoid eye contact as they leave the venue. You know, all are valid. And that's human engagement, that shared synergy between the artist and the audience, and then the audience with each other. It's special and more meaningful than simply liking or disliking something. That it's the why, and that seems to resonate with me the most. I also get to experience this when working on artist workshops and engagement activities. And in planning, I often try to identify groups who are interested in current and relevant topics or issues that aren't necessarily related to the arts. So by using the arts to engage people, we help to make connections that are difficult to discuss and perspectives that might not ever previously been considered in meaningful and valuable ways. As a presenter of the arts and culture, I get to meet so many people in the community with whom I might not have otherwise met. Attendees, of course, but also creative colleagues, artists, educators, and community leaders who have the same passions as I do and are exploring their own why and in their own organizations or their own projects. I'm also fortunate to have the privilege to work with an incredible team and have similar goals of bringing together community and presenting new and interesting programs. While there's so much more work that goes into developing and implementing programs than people understand, we do so while having fun in the process. I hope everyone has fun in the process. The team includes the Norton Center employees who dedicate their time each day and night to our successes through marketing and fundraising, box office and patron services, the technical and production needs, community outreach and engagement, and the administrative and bookkeeping needs that ensure all the pieces are connecting. The team also includes others at Center College who are equally important, including the custodial staff, the finance office, facility workers, caterers, and the many different partners on and off campus with whom we collaborate and try to build community. I'm especially rewarded to be at Center College and the Norton Center to be part of the development of so many students to have meaningful cultural and career-based experiences through the programs themselves and through event operations and management. So when we collectively strive to achieve shared community goals, we help each other to rise up and be seen, be heard, be human, and that's the why. So thank you, Mimi Becker, and the Danville Boyle County Arts Commission, the City of Danville, the Boyle County, and the open-minded people who live here for this heartfelt recognition of my community work and the celebration of Center College's Norton Center over the past 50 years. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. We need to entertain a motion to approve both of these resolutions at one time. So, Commissioners, what's your pleasure?
I'll make a motion to approve both resolutions as presented. Proclamations, I'm sorry.
Thank you, ma'am.
I'll second.
Thank you, ma'am. Any comments or questions? Hearing none? Just think about this. You got up there and got to do your thing, and the clerk admires you so much that she didn't put the 3-minute timer on for you.
I was waiting for the 3-minute time.
Well, I was waiting too, but all those in favor of accepting both of these proclamations, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. Let's go take a picture with it, and then I got a key to the city for you. It's 1% gold. Any staff members present willing to take a picture with Brother Steve?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
We gotta go back to work tomorrow. Come on, Brian. All right, Brian's going to wait. Brian. all 50 years, right? Some of us been here all 50 years. Yeah, tore the whole high school down, didn't we? Oh, Mr. Hoffman, you can't leave. Where you going? You going to the party without us, right? No, you're going to the party. I know what you're doing. All right. All right, let's move along. That was fun. Next item on the agenda is approval of a banner request from the ML King celebration event. I assume staff has a recommendation for us?
We're just asking to hang the banner in front of City Hall for the week, for this week.
Yes,
They
ma'am.
missed the deadline last time, and we weren't able to get them in, so.
All right.
I move for approval
Thank
of the banner request.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, sir. Any questions about ML King banner? The activities are next Monday, the 15th, on his birthday. Start 12 o'clock noon out front in City Hall. We walk to Danville High School for the program. Free lunch at the end of the program and free T-shirts to everybody in the community who wants to attend. All those in favor of hanging the banner, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, thank you all.
Okay, so events are Monday, the 15th?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, it just said something different on the paper, so, thank you. Said the
Okay.
20th,
Said the 20th.
yeah.
No.
Okay, the 15th.
The 15th is
On
ML
the day.
King's birthday and it's the holiday. City Hall will be closed next Monday on the 15th. The 20th is the streetscape celebration, right? All right, good catch. So next item is approval of the minutes of the previous meetings. Is there a motion to approve our minutes?
I'll move to approve the minutes of 12:11 and 12:20, a regular city commission meeting, and the 12:20 was a special called commission meeting.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, sir. Any questions or comments? This thing keeps shutting down on me. All those in favor of approval of our minutes, say aye.
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 Opposed? Thank you all. Motion carries. Can't see what's next. Okay. Next item is the first reading of ordinance number 25, Heartland and Ridgeview zone change. So we'll read the first one.
This is the first reading of ordinance number 2025, an ordinance changing the zone from R1A Single Family Residential to R1C Single Family Residential for approximately 32.484 acres, more or less, of real property located at 0 Ridgeview Road and 0 Heartland Drive in the city of Danville, Kentucky.
Thank you, ma'am. Before we entertain a motion, does any commissioners have any comments they'd like to make or any questions?
Should we have the motion first? or-
We could do that. Let me make one statement, though. Whatever we do today, though, tonight, is that we're not having a public hearing about this zone change. Please put that in the records, okay? Thank you now. So I'll entertain a motion.
Just to get things off of the fence here so we can talk about it, I move for approval of the zone change as presented.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, sir. Questions or comments? Discussion?
I think we should go through the list of concerns. Of course, our attorney's not here, Mr. Bowman,
Right.
to answer those, so that might be problematic. But if someone has a question tonight, it would be nice to answer those things.
Anyone, meaning just the commissioners, have a question?
Right, I can
Okay.
make an effort to answer those, but Mr. Bowman indicated that there was a conflict for him, and unfortunately, he had to bow out this afternoon. But he indicated that if there was any questions in writing that I couldn't address thoroughly, that he would answer those in writing before the second reading for you, and certainly he would be here present at that time to address those prior to the second reading of the ordinance, if that's what you all wanted to do.
Thank you, sir. Anybody, are there questions for the city manager? pertaining to this item.
Would it be appropriate to request that the developer have a rebuttal to the comments earlier?
No, I don't think you can do that, no.
No, I
He
wouldn't
could have
advise
come up,
that, no.
he had an opportunity to come and speak, to hear the public. If we start doing that now, we get into what I don't want to get into, and that is we're not going to get into a public hearing.
Okay.
It's
That's correct.
illegal for us to do that.
Correct.
Earl, one of my big concerns is the traffic, which has been obviously a concern of some of the residents in Colonial Heights, and I think that's a real, to me, that's a real tangible concern. Any better ideas? Do we have to have the road that goes up through, enters Colonial Heights there? Can we?
Well, the connection between the two subdivisions is part of the comp plan. That's part of good transportation, frankly. What is the thing that is correctly concerning is the fact that there's the area to the west that where the homes are off of that road. And so the concern raised where traffic will have to drive through those neighborhoods to get out, that's an accurate statement. I would liken it, so to Josh's point, the city engineer's point, at the time it was originally discussed, is that a traffic study doesn't necessarily identify the capacity deficiency, because you wouldn't have that. You would have recommendations related to slowing traffic down, speed, for example, calming devices, so the chicane at the connection on the north end of the property. So as you leave Colonial Heights, he has a curve system there. That is a safety feature in of itself, because it is a curve. It slows cars down to make the curve. And so other things like that could come out of the development plan phase, where you are working, where the city engineer is working with the developer's engineer. In terms of mass transportation out of the development to the west, typically we would ask to ameliorate that is to have a connection to the west. There's no obvious location for that, which is why it isn't shown at this step by the developer. The streamline across the road on the west side of Bergen Road is very similar to that, in that there's only a couple of entrances, and the back of the development is so far away from the main road, folks travel through the neighborhood to get out. So it won't be unlike an existing condition, which is why I think it went ahead and is processed in the manner that it is. I would add that if you want to make the connection to the west, certainly the city engineer and the developer's engineer could account for additional right-of-way towards Bergen Road on that end, allow them the opportunity during the development phase to design or anticipate where that best place might be. That's not something necessarily, the precise location of that is not necessarily something you would work out during the zone change. Sometimes it is, but it's not required. A lot of times you would want to look at grade, you want to look at the neighboring properties, and you want to really program that into the geometry of the property itself to see really where that best point is. And so certainly if you want to see if the developer would like to make a connection to the west during the development phase, I'm sure he would give an opinion on whether or not he would add that on the record as something he'd be willing to do. And I think reasonably that they would. But it wouldn't be part of the zone change record itself. It would just be something that he would commit to in public here. But like I said, the development plan phase is when the city engineering staff, and we've done that many, many times for development, that's one of the reasons we need a robust development plan process, so that the site plans and the properties are reviewed by the professional staff that are licensed in transportation and do those types of things.
So when will we make that request of the developer?
You can request now, if Mr. Sharp would be willing to get up and say on the record he'd like to do that, he would be willing to do that during the development phase, but that's not tied to the zone change.
Right, I understand, I just,
Yeah.
I would like a commitment on record, like a commitment to preserve right-of-way with the connection, for a connection to the
Yeah,
west.
and we would,
I would
yeah.
want
Yes.
that.
Yeah,
agree.
Mr. Sharp, could you comment on western connection at the microphone, please?
I have no reservations in extending a stub street to the west to connect, have the potential to connect Colonial Heights with Highway 33 at a future date. None whatsoever. However, you have to keep in mind that that property presently has a home on it, and that you look at the balance of that property, it is developable. And at some point in time, as Danville continues to grow, property values increase, that will be ideal for redevelopment. And so maybe in 5, 10 years, the stub street would extend to 33. And that would help offset the traffic that would be on the Heartland Drive street.
And there'll probably be other options to extend west too, that you could preserve right away, whether it's near the entrance of Candlewood. That would be worked out in the development phase, but you'll preserve right away
Yeah.
for an exit.
Oh, absolutely.
Just in general to the
Yeah.
west.
Right.
In general, okay.
Yep.
That will instruct staff. That will be one of the things then therefore staff looks at during the development plan.
Are there other questions from the commission?
I have a couple for Michaela. I know she probably didn't come prepared to answer, but if you don't mind, just.
I did come prepared to answer, just in
Okay,
case.
well, won't be too tough, I don't think, but as it sits right now, the property is zoned R1A, correct?
Correct.
It could, if Mr. Sharp wanted to right now, he could build duplicates of the homes that are down the hill, the ones that everybody talks about being kind
In
of small or
Candlewood?
whatever.
The homes in Candlewood?
Yeah,
That's correct. We do not have any minimum square footage requirements on homes in our zoning ordinance.
okay. And I think that's a question I've gotten a lot is, is the size and the style and things, and that's not really something that we have any control over. That's correct?
So if I may answer that.
Sure.
The current zoning ordinance does not allow us to talk about home size with a zone change request, with a map amendment request. And the reason why our zone change ordinance doesn't, frankly, is because you can get in conflict with the Fair Housing Act. And so typically, you don't see that requirement embedded in zoning ordinances.
No.
And ours does not, so therefore, we can't consider that as part of this discussion.
Yeah, it can be done as private deed restrictions, but
Right.
it won't be done through us.
Okay. And my other question is, I think Mr. Compton brought up the change in the density, which seems to exceed the preferred amount. Am I reading that correctly, or?
Yes, that's correct. The comprehensive plan, it has the future land use map, which this application is in compliance with, but it also instructs us for residential zone changes to look at that residential development guidance. That's where you see one of the points of that is to not exceed the density by 50%. So this is going over that. Like the comp plan, this is guidance, so you have to look at the whole picture, you have to look at goals and objectives, you have to look at the future land use map, you have to look at those development standards or development guidelines that they're looking at. So it's a full picture. This commission has approved other zone changes recently within the last 2 years that have exceeded that 50%, so it's not out of the norm for what we're looking at, but it is one point as part of the comprehensive plan, yes.
Okay. I had one other question, but if I think of it, I'll come back to it. I can't think of it right now.
Any other commissioners?
Would the current R1A also exceed the 50%?
I believe it's right at 50%.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Other questions or comments?
it's not be so much for Michaela, but there will be another phase discussion if we move forward, the development stage.
Yes, so there will be the development plans, the subdivision plans. Well, there will be several stages where that ultimately is done. Michaela, let me ask you this question. Comments at the, that he's adjusted, and I know this is off the cuff, and so you may not have an answer. We may have to answer this before the next meeting. The area adjacent to Colonial Heights, Mr. Sharp, as I look at the development plan, increase the size of those lots to make that area more consistent with Colonial Heights. If you were to isolate the street and the lots adjoining Colonial Heights, do you think it addresses how does it compare to the 50% adjustment? Do you have any idea?
I didn't do the math on it. The estimate for those lots is 8,000 square feet, so it's bigger than the 5,000 square foot minimum lot size that you look at for R1C, which is the proposed zoning district, but it's smaller than the 10,000 square foot that's required in R1A, which is what Colonial Heights is zoned as. So it's kind of square in the middle. It meets our R1B standards, so it's kind of more of a transition than matching what's existing. But I'm sorry, I didn't do that math for just those, I believe it's 7 lots that we're looking at, that Mr. Sharp agreed to adjust the size to make them more in line with Colonial Heights, so.
I remember my question, yeah.
Then-
That reminded me.
After you say that, I may take time to analyze that with Michaela for the next meeting before the second reading, if that's how far we go. We should talk, though, real quick. I know you all may have other questions, and mention the conditions that are part of the zone change that the developer's already committed to. We didn't do that yet, and we probably should, Michaela and I should probably do that. Number one, the applicant has agreed that the subject property will be developed with a density ranging from 1 dwelling per acre to 5 dwellings per acre. The applicant agrees that each dwelling will be detached, single-family structure, which with R1C, you don't have to have that condition on there. I think that condition would align the forms of the homes to the existing homes on both sides, both in Candlewood and also on Colonial Heights. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's how I'd interpret that.
And then the applicant agrees that each dwelling will be connected to the city water and sewer system. The applicant agrees to construct a public city street and sidewalks for access to the dwellings, and the applicant agreed that each dwelling will include 2 off-street parking spaces at the minimum.
Another question for Michaela. Something Mr. Compton brought up, here's the general development plan. Is the developer committing to that then, that he will have these larger lots next to Colonial Heights?
Yep.
And that will stick?
That's how I'd view this general development plan, is that the stub street to the east towards Green Acres, that connector road between Candlewood and Colonial Heights, and then those 7 larger lots that are adjoining Colonial Heights would all be items that would have to be adhered to. If they're not, then it would have to go through a public hearing process. We do have some language in the zoning ordinance for general development plans that we can bump it back through a public hearing process if it goes through major changes. You know, with this, it is more of a conceptual plan. They actually haven't gone out and engineered the lot, so there might be some minor changes, so it's gonna have to be to staff's discretion. But if they were to come in with those lots not adhering to what has been stipulated here with being larger and conforming with Colonial Heights, then that's something that would have to go through a public hearing.
Okay, yeah, because we'd want it adhered to. So the density, you know, R1A is 10,000 square feet, and then
Yeah.
R1C is 5. So last year, the big concern was, is it going to be double? And it ended up just going up 10 to 15 houses. So is the average lot size overall around 8,000 square feet, or?
I didn't do that math because
Okay.
we don't have the line shown. It's a conceptual plan. I think most of them were shown around 5,000 square feet, but there are some larger lots, portions of that plan shown. So I don't have
Okay.
the dimensions of each of the lots to be able to do that. The engineer might have that information, but it's, it's going to fall within the R1C standards that there's going to be no lot smaller than 5,000 square feet. With our density, because we show it, including all of the infrastructure, it can be a little bit hard. We do gross density, not net, so.
Other questions?
No, I think that answered my question, was the actual difference between
Right.
what could be right now versus what could be if the zone changed. And it's about 12 lots, we think, or 10 to
I think it's
15,
between 15 and 20, but
15, 20.
yeah.
Other questions or comments from the commission? Hearing none, then the chair would like to.
Oh, comments, yeah. I do have comments. Well, I'm just looking at the list of questions. So another citizen was asking like what changes or concessions were made. And I guess 3 of us were here and Mr. Coffey. I had just wrote down and tell me if I missed one, okay? They asked the developer to submit the general development plan. He didn't have one before.
You're talking about his original submittal?
Right.
So
Like-
I would caution you in going back that far
Okay.
specifically because that's creating more public record, and if that wasn't submitted during the planning and zoning process.
It was not.
I would add that we
Okay.
did talk about the history last time, and yes,
And the transition.
Yes.
And the bigger lots next to Colonial Heights.
correct. So,
Okay.
so let me be careful with our
Yeah.
words.
Okay.
The development plan was submitted through planning and zoning last time, and it was, lacked granular information. Planning and Zoning Commission approved it. It came to the city commission where these questions were heard. The developer withdrew, and so it has been resubmitted, and another record was created. Part of the comments that have been made on the record was that the adjustments that were made consistent with the comments received when he withdrew his first application. Saying that included detailing the lots in a granular way, meaning he does have a depiction that has great detail on it. He does demonstrate larger lot sizes that are more consistent with the lot sizes in Colonial Heights. He did add right-of-way to the east. And I think that's the biggest change, or the biggest comments that could be made, yeah. Yeah.
I'll try again. Any other questions or comments? Don't misunderstand my actions. My actions is to make sure we don't get into a public hearing, in case you all are wondering why I'm pushing this thing, okay?
I appreciate that. I was
Well,
just trying to make
I
sure
know you
their
all, I'm just making
questions
sure
were
the
answered.
audience understands what I'm trying to do, but that's all right. Yeah, but I want to give you all the chance to ask all your questions, make all your comments, just short of having a hearing, okay? And we do have a motion, we do have a second, and the chair is going to take the privilege of calling for the question. And Madam Clerk, we need to do this by roll call vote.
Commissioner Caudle,
Yes.
Commissioner Peak,
No.
Mayor Atkins,
No, ma'am?
Commissioner Holland,
Yes.
Commissioner Sayers.
Yes.
And we'll have to have one more reading.
Yes, sir.
More.
Second reading at the next meeting.
We'll make sure that Mr. Bowman's here for that one again.
Right.
His apologies. It was not in his control. I'm aware of the issue that prevented him from being here.
And you had a couple of things you were going to try to
Yeah,
work out.
We'll walk through these
additional.
questions with him, yeah.
Okay.
And we'll try to get something in writing for the next meeting.
And Mr. Coffey, thanks for not explaining to the commission and the public why he's not here tonight. You can do
Yes,
that
sir.
behind closed doors. That's
Yes, sir.
very personal, and I appreciate you not doing that. But it was very legit, okay? All right, let's go on to the next item there. Second reading of ordinance number 2024, compensation classification. And I guess, Madam Clerk, you want to read that for us, please?
This is the second reading of ordinance number 2024, an ordinance amending CDO 2-96 pertaining to the classification plan, compensation plan, and policies and procedures for city personnel.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a motion?
Move for approval of the second reading of ordinance 2024.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, ma'am. Any questions or comments? Hearing none. Madam Clerk, roll call vote?
Commissioner Peak,
Yes.
Mayor Atkins,
No, ma'am.
Commissioner Holland,
Yes.
Commissioner Saris,
Yes.
Commissioner Cottle.
Yes.
Thank you all. Next item, City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. A couple of items we'd like to mention. The dates, January 15th is Martin Luther King Day, beginning here at City Hall at noon to Gravely Hall for additional ceremonies. January the 16th is a planned training with the commission on form of government legal requirements. 1 o'clock is what we're shooting for. January 20th is the streetscape ribbon cutting. That,
4 o'clock?
I think so, but the Snowman Shuffle and Downtown Streetscape Project ribbon cutting is on that day. Free ice skating, hot chocolate, and winter inflatables beginning at noon on Main Street. Snowman Shuffle races for kids 12 and under begins at 2. You can register for this event online. You must dress like a snowman, Mayor, if you're going to participate.
Can we have a senior division?
No senior division. The ribbon cutting ceremony begins at 4 p.m. on Main Street near the hub. The first 200 guests will receive a free commemorative puzzle. I know it.
For the 4 o'clock thing?
Yes.
It's, okay.
Yeah. The commission meeting, the January the 22nd and February 12th are the next two. Downtown Streetscape, we can see the traffic signals are going in slow. Would like to point out that those are KYTC-approved devices. Both the structure of those and the implementation of those are tied to KYTC. They will have control of those signals, so those do take forever sometimes, and certainly we apologize for that, but I know the contractor's trying to, as best they can, to finish those up. To skip down, we do have the reorganization with P&Z, the DHB. We are planning that, but because of holidays and some staff absences, we wanted to have that on this agenda. Anything that we need to do for that event, we'll go over with Michaela. We'll have that at the next commission meeting at the end of the month. Would like to say, too, the FY23 audit, we had a little bit of discussion about that last time. We are, thanks for Ms. Compton's effort on that. We are working on trying to identify different vendors. We have a couple that are getting us proposals. We don't have them yet. With the holidays, that was delayed, too. We anticipate that any day now, but it didn't come today. There were some questions we received today. So we'll continue to work through that and advise you as soon as we can. We do have another event in planning. We sent you all an article talking about additional training for the city commission. We can wait on that and talk about it in 2 weeks. Looking at the schedule for that vendor, we can't get them in here anytime soon anyway. So we may, let me see if I can't ferret that out. The number that was initially given to us for the article I gave you, the author was Ms. Novak. I know that's not, the audience has no idea what I'm talking about. I apologize for that. But the speaker fees for them included some of her staff and including travel expenses and some things. It's fairly high on its face. And so what I'd like to do is talk to her about that and have a better understanding. So we'll follow up and bring that back to you. If it's something that you all are so inclined to do, then we'll try to make that happen. And that's, let's see, January 16th, I mentioned that. We do have a warming shelter identified. It will operate when the highs and lows are lower than 20 and higher than, and doesn't get higher than 32. That will be the operating range for the temperature. We are working out other issues with that. We'll make an announcement as we know more detail, but that is going to happen. I think the county is facilitating some liability concerns using the tools that they have, and so that the city doesn't. And so we appreciate that, and certainly we'll go right on with working towards having that thing open. The ML King celebration, I mentioned the details of that. We would say that the website, the new city website, will go live on Friday, January 12th. We've tried to address any foreseeable issues. I'm sure there will be something that pops up, but if anyone has any issues with particular links, please contact Melanie Crossfield. Her email is mcrossfield@danvilleky.gov. The site will look a lot different, but it will be more straightforward, hopefully. And there will be a tour button, so you'll be able to identify and provide and access an automated tour of the site once it's live. That's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Any questions for the city manager?
I did have one question. Excuse me, sorry. Talking about the streetscape, the thing I hear most about is the lighting and how bright that is. Is that, it seems to me that maybe it seems so bright because it was so dim before. And is that governed by some other entity?
The bollard
as well?
lights are really what seem to bother people the most, and the thing I've identified is like they are very bright. So we're exploring some different options. There's a way to take them apart and dim them, but that means taking them completely apart and putting them back together and doing weather-tight seals and everything again. So we're going to look at some way to cover the outside of the light to just dim it slightly. So
Okay.
we're looking at some wrap options or a spray tint option or something like that. So we're going to do some testing and see what works best and we'll look at what looks good. But hopefully we'll have that done pretty soon because they're very bright.
Thanks, Joe.
Other questions or comments to the city manager? Okay, if not, let's move on then. We come to the second part of our meeting where we hear the public, and the public is invited to be recognized and come to the podium and speak to us, talk to us for 3 minutes or less about any topic that's on their mind. Do not have to be on the agenda for tonight. I know there's one young lady who's already approached me. You want to come up first, ma'am? Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So, hold on. My name is Tasha Bender. I'm a local business owner. I was here at the last meeting to talk about the 2 million people that are suffering in Gaza as we speak, and I'm here again to speak for them and to urge the city of Danville to pass a permanent ceasefire resolution onto our
Ma'am.
state officials.
Ma'am, I apologize for interrupting you. I know that you're passionate about this international issue. This is a business meeting of the city commission to discuss issues that affect the city government itself, or city residents directly. This is not an issue for international discussion about public affairs. Unfortunately, the city commission confirmed that in 2013 with communication guidelines for the public so that they would understand the difference between the business meeting and not. So unfortunately, it's not a place for speech related to the issue that I understand you're passionate about.
Well,
The city commission can take no action and frankly shouldn't take any action related to the subject and shouldn't engage in the conversation in this forum. The conversation that you wish to have is the city steers towards Whizziger Park, which is the free speech plaza, and that's the limit of it.
okay. I mean, multiple other cities have.
I appreciate that you say that. Some of those cities that I've looked at were support letters from the mayors, not official action on behalf of the city, which they're not entitled to take.
Okay, so the last time I came in, it wasn't a problem, but now it is? Because you were here too when I was here last time.
It was, and I honestly caught us off guard. I think that I didn't have the guidelines in front of me. We should have had this same occurrence last time. Thank you, though, and we certainly understand and respect that you're passionate about it, and we don't want to diminish that. However, this is not the forum for it. This is a business meeting.
Okay, so where is the form for it?
We have free speech permitted at Wizziger Park, which is what you're discussing.
At Wizziger Park?
Correct, Wizziger Plaza.
Okay, so how would I go about presenting a speech there?
You can coordinate that anytime you would like. If you would like to make an event out of it, you can get an event permit. Typically, like, you know, any social event that occurs up there. Or you can, well, if you're going to rally, you would need to get an event permit through the police department.
Okay, all right.
Thank you, though.
Thank you.
And I, yeah. Okay, any other comments about that? No. Individually, we can say what we want to say, right? But not as a part of the meeting.
Correct.
All right. Anyone else about here, the public? Yes, ma'am.
She looks familiar.
Nah, she's never been there before.
Never been here before.
My name is Margaret Calhoun, and I'm here on behalf of Nathan Dunningham. And he checked out the rock fence at the Michael M. Memorial Park. And he wants to make his sign bigger, because it's too small where that rock fence is. You can't hardly see it. And then one lady said when she tries to turn, like going to Houstonville Road, she can't see the cars coming. But I seen the car.
He wants to make the Michael Smith sign larger. Is that what you're
Yes,
saying?
he's
Okay, all
gonna
right.
pay for it all.
We'll talk about that as a city. I don't know.
And he said he would redo the rock fence.
No.
And he'll pay for that too.
We're going to add, part of the rock wall project that we're working on now is new signage and new lettering for the park and everything. It'll all be new out front. So we'll be putting a new Michael Smith Park letters on the rock wall itself.
Yeah, I know that.
So that'll kind of present it to the front.
But
instead of-
the picture need to be enlarged.
Yeah.
He's gonna pay for that. It ain't coming out of nobody's pocket but his. He wants to get all okay for it. Now, I'm gonna ask you about this, rock fence, I'm leaving. Michael's,
Hughes.
didn't have a picture of it.
No.
But I know one side belonged to housing authorities. When you come in J.E. Woods on the left-hand side, it belonged to the housing authority. And the other side is the city. I know what it looked like. But somebody got a picture, and if all this get done, it's gonna be too late. Why you gotta go by a picture? If you know what it looked like yourself when I was young.
Oh, I don't know what it looked like, but tell you what, we're not supposed to answer you, but you know Josh real well,
Yeah, I told him on time.
and Michael Hughes knows Josh real well. Yeah.
What can I tell Nathaniel?
To contact, tell him to contact the mayor.
Yes,
Yeah,
because he wants to enlarge the picture.
yeah, we'll take care of it. I think it's a
And the
city's
greenery
responsibility.
and the trees, he's gonna pay for all that too.
Well, you got to contact and go through the city. He can't just come up and do that. So tell him to contact somebody officially with the city. And I know I'm violating policy, but we better straighten that out real quick. Yes, ma'am. Thank you, though. Anyone else want to speak to the commission? All right, let's move along. Thank you now. Next item is payment of the bills. Oh. Hey, wait.
Donna looked like she was ready.
There is a ball game someplace in America today, right? Tonight, right? I'm sorry. Commissioner comments. I thought y'all had a lot of them. I'm sorry.
I just wanted to say that I guess, call it the plaza next door, it looks really good that they're working on, so that looks nice, that's coming along. And then, also, I guess Parks and Rec, I just want to give a shout out to them with all the kids that are starting basketball right now. I think some of them are starting tonight. They may have started before then, I'm not sure. Yeah, but there's a lot of kids and not enough space for all of them, you know?
Cheerleaders, too?
And cheerleaders, no, I mean, I'm all about the
Get the
cheerleaders.
cheerleaders in
We
there,
have
right?
10 groups this year, so anyway, but there's
That's great.
a lot of kids, more kids this year, and there's just not a space for them to practice. So they're doing a good job managing it. So.
Other commissioners?
I'll echo Commissioner Peak on both of those, and Ian Kendall just left, but I wanted to recognize that Convention Visitors Bureau was here, and thank you, Janet Hamner, for the sleds around town. They look great. She's part of the CVB and had a lot to do with that financially. Thank you.
Oh, keep on going, huh? I thought you were going to say congratulations to the Small Town Danville Committee. It's the first time we've been back together since then, right? Thanks for affording me the opportunity to walk in the parade again. Highlight of my holiday, right? I was really good holiday season downtown. Thanks to everybody who participated, though. Yep, that was good.
And I'll piggyback on the sleds. I had some folks really compliment on them, like they had been reupholstered and all sorts of things. So these small details, people really notice. So
Yes.
thank you.
Yes, that's right.
Beautification Committee.
Yes.
So much.
Yes. And let's give a shout out to Constitution Square. Constitution Square was a part of the holiday season of decorations and festivities and whatever. So really great efforts on the parts of a lot of people. Other commissioner comments, I was going to go right by that, right?
I had a request out at Jenny Rogers with all the sports to make sure the lighting is adequate in the parking lot. Because it's dark so early, and I've had a few people reach out and say,
Yeah, we had
Yikes.
KU add lights just recently, it was just a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, I was out there for a practice and I was like, this is crazy. Then I think it's better than it was, but it's probably not completely perfect yet. So we're just gonna keep working on it until we get it there.
Have you mentioned to staff about the meeting that we had with Mr. Carter at all? Jerry Carter?
No.
Well, the mayor and I happened to meet with Jerry Carter, and he was talking about the tennis courts. He had some pictures of standing water, low spots, uneven surface, which, if we paid
Yeah, we're working
whatever
through-
millions of dollars for
Yeah,
that thing, we need to.
We're working through a few issues with the contractor. They've got some ideas that they want to implement to take care of that. We kind of knew we would run into some issues with this when we were trying to get the courts open for the regional tennis tournament, right as we were wrapping them up in the summer. There were a couple of low spots, and the way the surfacing people spoke to us about it is we would have issues with it, but we would have to kind of work through those for the first year or two, or we demolish the asphalt and start from scratch was our options. So I decided to take the option of let's just work through the issues. Let's try to do some resurfacing. We're going to put in install a drain in a couple of locations that we weren't able to get the surface deep enough to run the water off. So we're working on some things to try to get that without not completely starting over.
Okay. Okay.
Other
We're-
comments or
we're on.
questions? Nobody's pushed me for a 5-minute break, but I got a feeling we're missing all the party in the adjoining room, aren't we? See, Wilma Brown is gone and come back, so fun's all over it, I guess, right? So no, I'm just kidding. Let's go. Payment of bills. Chair would like to entertain a motion to pay the bills.
I'll move to approve the bill list in the amount of $1,593,304.42.
Thank you, ma'am.
Second.
Thank you, sir. Questions or comments about the bill list? You get that number right? He got it right. All those in favor of paying the bills as presented?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Next item is Resolution 2024-01-0801, bid award for lagoon cleaning. Marshall, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mayor. On December the 12th, 2023, the city of Danville, we opened publicly bids for the lagoon cleanout and dewatering of water treatment plant solids. This project includes dredging, dewatering, and management of solids from the city of Danville water treatment plant. This will allow the city to adhere to regulatory requirements. We received one bid from H&A Resource Management for $143.75 per wet ton, which is dewatered organic materials, what that is. Additional fees for mobilization, demobilization, permitting, and analytical analysis of the materials. So we have $200,000 in the capital budget for fiscal year '24 allotted for this particular type of work. Essentially what this is you have organic material in the water that we get from Lake Harrington. You have to remove that, separate that from the treatment water, pump that out into this pond, collect it, and over time, you have to remove those solids from the pond to stay within regulatory requirements. We have to do that essentially annually.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2024-01-0801.
Second. Aye.
Aye.
Next item, Resolution 2024-01-0802. Cindy Rogers, Phase 1 change order.
Yes, thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. In your package, you have a change order for Jenny Rogers. Change order number 6. It's in the amount of $26,988.17. If you go to the in your packet there, it's got a list of the 5 items included, but the primary one is a little over $20,000, and we were replacing the sink fixtures in the bathrooms in the southern hallway next to the cafeteria. When the contractor removed those sinks, there was obvious damage to the old lead pipes that were in the walls behind the blocks. And we couldn't really see all of it, so we made the decision to demolish the walls, the block walls that were there, replace all of the drain pipes, and then build a new wall. So that's what about a little over $20,600 that's the majority of it. So we would recommend approval of the change order as presented. This also extends the completion date to January 19th, which we're gonna have another change order at the next meeting, probably to extend it again. Train's having trouble getting the heat turned on in the eastern hallways, so where they've replaced all of the units. We're having, it's equipment that we kept in the main mechanical room, boiler pump, a line that's in there that had to be replaced. We're waiting on a motor right now for one of the pumps. So they can't, the project is almost completely finished except for the floors, and they can't put the floors down until we get heat on in the hallways so they can acclimate the floors. So that's the only thing we're waiting on. So as soon as the heat gets turned on, they can start working on floors. They anticipate about 4 to 5 weeks once the heat is on. And we've been working with the county schools when they want to occupy. They're okay. They're eyeballing a soft opening in the spring sometime, and then a full opening come summer to more align with their schedule anyway. After we got closer to the end of the project, so we're working closely with them. But it's looking like it's probably going to be more of late February once the heat gets turned on. So, but as of I just want to give you that quick update. But we would recommend approval of the change order as presented.
Thank you, sir. Is there a motion?
I'll move to approve Resolution 2024-01-0802.
Second.
Thank you, sir. Any questions?
Right. Are we still within our cushion, I guess, or construction?
Lee would probably say no. We're, this is definitely, this project we've had a lot more change orders than we anticipated, and I think that's just the nature of the age of the building. A lot of it looked good on the surface, and then once we dug a little deep, we found a lot of issues that had to be fixed. So, yeah, it's definitely extended us a little bit with change orders. A change order like this is to be anticipated, but hopefully we don't run into a lot more. And we've kind of kept up with it as we went along, so we're should be in a good spot now. But we're approaching that limit of where we need to be, but we're also approaching the completion of the project as well.
A lot of the work that's been added to has been on the other side, the wing that wasn't being renovated per se fully. And so a lot of the work is sustainable. For example, the bathroom that's being described, that's on the side that we weren't, quote, renovating right now. So that work's going to be done. It's a change order above just the regular scope of the work, because any times you get in one of those old buildings, once you tear into an old wall, you got to keep going to the end of the pipe kind of thing. So those change orders are expensive in buildings like that. Once you get into it, if you're committed to making it good, right? We don't want to create a repair that in 10 years, then it's a problem, right? Like that doesn't help anybody.
Well,
So.
Had a citizen remind me that for the price that we got the building for per square foot, that we can afford to spend some money on it. So. That's good. If you're not, then we're okay.
So that was my question. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. No, I'll just let you.
Like you said, the bathroom, if the piping, I know nothing about pipe underneath bathroom sinks and all of that. But if you're connecting it, when you have to go on further and connect to where is this what we've done so that we don't run into this when we hit another bathroom and it just,
Yes, we replaced everything to where it goes into the concrete slab.
Okay.
And you could tell what the issues were is those sinks, the previous sinks had been moved a lot over the years. I'm sure they've been jostled a few times over the 70 years. It was a school, and the lead pipe was bent and warped, and holes had developed in the creases and things like that. So it was something that had been there a long time. A couple of holes had been covered with duct tape, which was kind of humorous to see. They kind of got it limped along there towards the end. But now it's all good PVC pipes, so we shouldn't have any issues with that. And that takes care of, since we completely renovated the bathrooms on the east wing, and now we've taken care of this on the bathrooms in the south wings, we should be good from a restroom standpoint moving forward.
Thank you, sir. Call for the question. All those in favor of Resolution 02? Denny Rogers, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Resolution 03. Josh, you want to continue?
Yes, the city applied for a land and water conservation grant, I think it might have been 2020, because it was before I came back. It's covering the new playgrounds at Jackson Park and Cowan Street Park, and also some ball field work at Peak Crest and at Jackson Park. But part of applying or receiving funds for land and water grants is you have to deed restrict those properties to be parks in perpetuity. The catch is for these two properties, we've already done this in the past. For both Cowan Street was purchased with land and water money in the early 80s, and Jackson Park, I think we talked about the trail project that we did about 15 years ago was covered with land and water grant money. So we just need to approve the updated deed restrictions that are included in your packet. It pretty much says that this will remain a park and it will remain similar use to what it is now. So I think if we built an indoor complex out there or something, we would probably have to ask for permission for that. But it's just saying that it's going to be a park, it's going to be similar use in perpetuity.
Thank you, sir. Is there a motion?
Move for approval of Resolution 2024-01-0803.
Thank you, sir.
Second.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments, questions? If not, all those in favor of 03, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you all. Next item is 04. Josh, you have that one as well.
Yes, in your package, you have a Bluegrass Ad and KYTC sent us a sample resolution that Stephen has adapted for us that has the list of the city streets that the city maintains. And the use of this document is primarily for them to know how much to pay us for gas tax. It determines the length of roads that we maintain. So we worked on this all last summer with the ad, going through all of our streets. I spent many a day over in P&Z pulling plats and seeing if it's private, public. So we got this list down pretty good. It includes you know, every street that the city takes care of, including streets that are in parks and streets that are in our cemeteries. But we just need you all to approve this resolution that establishes this is the list of city streets.
It was an amazing list, I tell you that.
Yeah, we
Never know.
maintain over 80 miles of streets within the city limits.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2024-01-0804.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, sir. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, the next item is Resolution 0805. Mr. Coffey, your item.
Thank you, Mayor Commissioners. You have a letter of engagement. The resolution authorizes the signature on that for the law firm Linda K. Ain. She was identified years ago when we were dealing with an issue with Spectrum, as I recall. She is an expert in franchise law, which is how those companies operate inside of the corporate limits of the city, and particularly in the city's right-of-way. And certainly, we have leaned on her in the past and would ask that you authorize us to use her on those franchise or right-of-way related issues.
Thank you, sir. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2024-01-0805.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, sir. She does good work, I tell you that, boy. She's tough, yeah. All those in favor of passing this resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, likewise, motion carries. Entertain a motion to go into executive session?
For personnel only.
You surprised I did that, right?
Yes,
Thought I was gonna say-
caught me off guard. I was prepared
I know that's
to try to catch you.
Is there a motion to go into executive session for personnel items? And he said personnel only.
I'd make a motion to go into executive session, discuss personnel matters pursuant to KRS 61810-1F.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Jordan? Hope you learned. Regular session. We have a couple of things from the city manager.
Staff is recommending that you accept a reclassification from telecommunications officer to utility clerk of Jessica Gaskin.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
The next one is, staff is recommending the hiring of Destiny Ford to the position of telecommunications officer.
So moved.
Thank you, ma'am.
Second.
Thank you, ma'am. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
That's it.
I'll move to adjourn.
Second?
Wow, she didn't hesitate, did she? And the time being 7, that's gotta be wrong.
7:15, yeah.
15.
Seems like we've been here a lot longer
Game
than that.
7:30.
It does seem like
Wow.
we've been here longer.